Last week, it was the start of the marathon. The NFL season has finally arrived in one epic encounter between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Dallas Cowboys. Both quarterbacks went toe-to-toe against each other. Tom Brady threw for 379 yards, 4 touchdowns. Dak Prescott threw for 403 yards, 3 touchdowns. But in the end, Tampa Bay won the game on a last-second field goal, winning 31-29. On Sunday, Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs took on Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns at Arrowhead Stadium. Cleveland seemed to have the victory in reach of 29-20, but Kansas City did Kansas City things as the Chiefs stormed back to win the game, 33-29, led by Mahomes' 3 touchdown passes. Green Bay was slaughtered by New Orleans, 38-3. Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers went into Buffalo and had a statement victory against Josh Allen and the Bills, 23-16. And on Monday, to wrap up a wild week 1 in the NFL, Derek Carr and the Las Vegas Raiders hosted Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. At one point, the Ravens were up 14-0, 17-10 in the fourth quarter. The Raiders had to come back 3 separate times to tie the game at 17, 24, and 27 to send the game into overtime. In the end, Derek Carr and the Raiders walked off the Baltimore Ravens as Derek Carr threw a 31-yard touchdown pass to Zay Jones to win the game for the Raiders against Baltimore, 33-27. Tonight, our Nation Sports Show recaps Week 1 and previews Week 2 in the NFL. The Nation speaks to you next. From the gridiron to the court, talking all that is sports. The President Buzzard of the Nation brings to you our Nation Sports Show. Here are your hosts, Ezra Vicker, Kevin Rorie, and Stephen Wyand.
All right, here we go again, everybody. It is another Thursday, and then, of course, it is time for our Nation Sports Show. What's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday. Hope everybody is having a good day. And we're going to get rolling with this, man. We got a lot to talk about. A busy NFL week. Week 1 is in the books. Week 2 is coming up. We're going to talk about Week 1 and recap some of the best games out there, and also talk about a little bit about Week 2. We also got some injury notes to talk about in the NFL and then the announcement, of course, of 2 legendary figures in their own sports in MMA and baseball, respectively, hanging up the gloves/cleats for good. But enough about that. Let's get to the specifics first. Of course, the ways you can follow us. You can follow us on Facebook, of course, search Our Nation Sports Show. You can go to Twitter and find us at ON_Sports Show. You can find us there. Follow us, please, and share our posts as we go live here with you right now. Also, don't forget to go to our YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com, search Our Nation Sports Show in the search bar. We need to get to 100 subscribers so we can get that custom URL, so it'll make it easier for you guys to find us. Please interact with us on the YouTube channel. We'd love to hear from you guys. Love to hear some questions, comments about what we're going to talk about here tonight. And trust me, there is a lot. You can also find us on the Discord at discord.gg/Nations Corner. Follow us there. Join us there, and you can even talk live with us on Our Nation Sports Show voice channel. Let us know you're going to be on there, and we'll hit you up and we'll get you on the show. Now that we got that out of the way, let's bring in our esteemed co-host for this evening. We got to introduce our man from North Kakalake, the best drummer in North Carolina. I wouldn't say the best drummer in metal because he's still new, but what do I know? It's my buddy, heavy metal brother from another brother, Stevie Wyand. What's going on, man?
Well, speaking of said music, after two rocking kick-ass concerts on Saturday in Raleigh with Dirty Honey and the Black Crows, and one hell of a metal show once again in Raleigh on Tuesday with Sabaton and the Metal Legends, Judas Priest, I say, let's go talk some sports. It's so great to be a sports fan, folks, because the NFL is back, and we're going to talk about it all tonight. So let's go. Oh, yeah.
Very nice, very nice. And of course, with us here again, we got one of our good buddies here. He's back hosting with us again. It's been a bit. Kevin Rorie. Kevin, what's up, my man?
What's going on, fellas?
All right, man. We got a busy show to get to, so let's not waste any time. Let's go. Week 1 of the NFL is in the books. And boy, we had some fucking hella games this week, man. We had a great Thursday night game with the Cowboys and the Bucks, which that was a battle back and forth. We had some great action throughout the weekend. Of course, we had the Rams and the Bears Sunday night. We had the Cardinals Titans, which was a really blowout game, basically. And also, of course, we had a great game between Baltimore and the Raiders, which, of course, Raiders playing their first game at the new Allegiant Stadium. And that was a very awesome game. Great back and forth action. All these games were great games this weekend. Steven, I want to talk with you first. I want to get your opinions on this past first week in this 2021-2022 NFL season. What are some of the highlights for you this week?
Man, the highlight for me was the game I said last week was going to be the game of the weekend. Yes, it lived up to the hype, and that would be the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cleveland Browns in Kansas City. Boy, that was a game that went around and everywhere in all sorts of ways because Kansas City looked very vulnerable. You know, like Joey said on the show a few weeks ago, any team can be beaten on any given Sunday. And Cleveland seemed to have the game plan dialed up against Kansas City. And Kansas City, like I said in the pre-intro for this show today, Kansas City did Kansas City stuff, and they came back. Patrick Mahomes, I think, for me in this game, it took him a bit to get his feet wet, back in the regular swing of things because, you could sit there and practice all day long and be in the preseason and get your reps in. But when you're in real-time speed as far as playing the game of football, it takes a little bit to get your rhythm back and stuff. So, yeah, Patrick Mahomes looked really good in that second half. And that to me, the 75-yard touchdown pass, that right there made me go, yeah, he's back in it. And, 3 touchdown passes. The running backs for Cleveland were really, really good. I mean, Chubb and Hunt, forget about it. The 1-2 punch, breaking defenders down and, and all that. And Baker Mayfield, he was decent, but those turnovers, man, they can come to bite you in the end. And they did. And Cleveland didn't look too good in the end because the fumbles that Mayfield had, that was an interesting game. I think that was the best game of the week. But the shocking game of the week, if you would have told me that Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers were going to be absolutely destroyed, thrashed, just beat down to an oblivion by New Orleans, I would have told you you're crazy because New Orleans, they beat the living bejesus out of the Packers from every, facet of the game, with offense, defense, special teams, everything, every facet of the game. New Orleans had everything scouted for Green Bay. And Mr. Rodgers did not look so good and playing well. They benched him in the fourth quarter. Yeah, not so great. Not so great. And if Green Bay wants to get back on the winning track, it needs to start this week because their schedule's pretty tough the rest of the way in certain ways. I mean, just he didn't look good. The interceptions that he had, just not good, not good. But the game last week between Tampa Bay and Dallas, that was such a great game. I mean, Prescott looked like like his old self. I mean, the 403 yards, the 3 touchdowns. Yeah, he had the 1 interception, but even in the loss, he looked so good. He was confident. He was slinging the ball, and I'm sorry, but during that game, that call, the pass interference call, that was bullshit. I mean, just the way. I mean, come on. I mean, but at the same time, Kevin knows this, Ezra knows this, I know this, and all of y'all NFL fans and sports fans that hate Tom Brady because he keeps on winning. That's all he knows how to do, and if you want to beat him, you got to beat him. And somewhat the referees, but I digress. But that pass interference call was bogus. I'm sorry. It was terrible, absolute terrible. And I'm like, and not only that, but speaking of said terrible, 124, that is way too much time for Tom Brady to have possession of the ball. I'm like, you're giving him the game. What are you doing? But overall, I mean, it was a great game on Thursday last week, and Sunday last week had some great games and some shocking, defeats, Green Bay losing, Tennessee losing. Yeah, I didn't see that coming because Tennessee last year was really good. So, Kevin, what about you as far as these games, from Thursday and Sunday? We'll get into the Monday game all to itself because that deserves its own, discussion by itself. But as far as for you, Kevin, what were your games for the week of Sunday for week 1?
Hey, Kevin, before we get into you real quick, I just wanted to go to Steven's point about Dak. Yeah, he did play like the old Dak Prescott. He didn't look timid. He didn't look apprehensive because you guys remember he went through that traumatic ankle injury last year.
Yes.
That could have been career ending. And whether you come back from a broken leg in MMA or a broken wrist or a broken neck in wrestling, that injury can spook you. That it can it can play tricks on your mind, and you could be apprehensive about throwing a certain way, running a certain way, doing a certain maneuver, whether it be in any sport or entertainment form. It makes you gun shy. And so Dak looked like he had no issue at all on that ankle. He was put pressure on it. He was moving well. He looked, like you said, he looked like the Dak Prescott of old. And I think that was really, really proven at that game on Thursday. Kevin, your thoughts on the Sunday game, the Thursday through Sunday games for week 1?
Well, Thursday's game, Tampa, I'll give Dak his credit, and Dak is primarily the only reason they were in the game and could have won the game. But Tampa's defense ain't what the defense we seen in the Super Bowl either. They were giving up all kind of over the middle passes. They were giving up way too many yards. The linebackers couldn't stop a soul in the pass. The run game, they were good. They couldn't defend the pass. And that's kind of scary when you get down to playing, just say, a healthy Kansas City team with an offensive line, that the tweaks they added in the offseason. That's a little scary. And as far as Sunday's games, I got to brag. I got to brag on my division. I got to brag on the West. The NFC West is proven they are the best division in football. Everybody said it. I've heard multiple people said it. I've said it before the season. I said it last year. You've got 4 contenders that are legitimate playoff hopefuls, all 4 of them. They all have a chance of going deep into the playoffs. And just to prove it, they literally whooped up between them and the AFC West. They combined against 2021 or 2020 playoff teams. They were 6-0 between both of them. They look like they have no problem playing any team outside of the division. And Tennessee, if you would have told me Arizona would have whooped up on Tennessee like they did, I would have said, nah, Derrick Henry's gonna run them down the throat. Nah. They proved me wrong. That their defense also was very improved. Arizona's was. And Cleveland, I said it before the season, Cleveland's going to be the AFC North champions. I said that months ago. They are proving to me, even though they lost, they are proving to me that they are slowly developing a recipe to hang in there with Kansas City.
Absolutely.
Playoff time, they didn't have much of a chance. I mean, they fought, but that's proven that they're closing that gap on Kansas City as the best AFC team in there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you added John Johnson III from LA. So now you got a safety who can help over the top on a Tyreek Hill or a Travis Kelce down the middle. You got some of those help. You got Myles Garrett healthy. As long as he stays healthy, he's one of the best pass rushers in the game. Absolutely. And on offense, if they could get Odell to do half of what he is, they'll be just fine.
And I'll argue this, Kevin. I mean, Cleveland, was obviously great in that game, Sunday. But honestly, last year in the second half of the 2020 season, when Odell went out with the injury, I thought Cleveland was better without him. Exactly. Yeah.
And it's that mind state mentality. Odell's that kind of receiver, kind of like T.O. Like, he puts fear in your quarterback. Like, Baker, he's pressured into saying, I need to find a way to get the ball to Odell and triple coverage. And Baker plays horrible. And then it's just got Jarvis Landry and guys like that. And Higgins out there. Baker looks like a whole different quarterback.
Yes, he does.
Especially with Kareem Hunt back there to check down to when he needs to, or Nick Chubb, a top 5 running back.
And Kevin, here's also another important, part about that when it comes to Kareem Hunt. He knows Kansas City very well. Very well. He knows their playbook because he was with them during Mahomes' 2018 season for the first half, and then he got traded.
That's true.
Or released, I'm sorry.
But the Monday night, as far as Monday, people sleep on the Raiders. They tend to realize the Raiders, if I've gathered any kind of an opinion on them over the last 3 or 4 years, the Raiders are a great first half football team. Like, they'll go out there and be 6-2 and the start of that season. They were the only team for a while to beat Kansas City last year.
Exactly.
The only team. Derek Carr was the only quarterback that could have success against Kansas City for some reason.
And not only that, Kevin, but they almost beat them not once but twice. And
they went to overtime the second game or lost by field goal.
Yeah. If they didn't give Mahomes the ball back with a minute and change left in the fourth quarter, I'm like, what are you doing? Just like with Brady last week, you're giving Mahomes too much time to get a game-winning touchdown or tying field goal. And that came to bite the Raiders in the ass, and that's what happened.
And the reason why I'm saying Cleveland is going to slowly run away with the North, fellas, is because Baltimore is they're not who they were 3 years ago. Like, people starting to get a sense on how Lamar Jackson's going to play, where he's going to run the ball. They're going to make him throw to a mediocre receiving class at best. Their best receiver, Hollywood Brown, if you put him on Tampa, he wouldn't have playing time.
No,
not over Antonio Brown, Mike Evans. He over a bunch of receiving cores. He would be a slot receiver in a lot of teams, but he's not a number one receiver.
No.
Nor do they have a running back due to injury. I get that. I'm not going to hate on that. But their defense, their secondary, and I know they lost Marcus Peters for the year, but their secondary looks horrible.
Secondary looks terrible.
Imagine next week next week's going to show how horrible they are when you got to guard Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce down the middle of the field. Don't look good for their secondary.
I know it's week 2 this week, but they're going to get beat by Kansas City, in my opinion. I mean, you can't tell me that they stand a chance in hell to stop Patrick Mahomes and that high-octane Kansas City offense. I mean, there's no way. No way. No way. I mean, but dude, I mean, talking about that game, that game from Monday, that game was insane because Baltimore was up 14-0 in the first half. And Las Vegas was trying so desperate to get back in the game, and they did at one point. They made it, respectably 17-10. But the Raiders had to work 3 times as hard to tie the game. And unfortunately for them, they did. They had to tie the game up 3 times, 17, 24, and 27 to get it to overtime. And that overtime period, holy crap. I mean, that was a crazy overtime period because the Raiders looked like they had the game won on a 33-yard touchdown pass to Bryan Edwards, but it was overturned. And the Vegas had the ball at the 1-yard line. And then if that wasn't crazy enough, obviously Derek Carr throws the interception like, oh, no, that's it for Vegas. And then Baltimore says, you think you can turn it over good? I can turn it over better. And then Lamar Jackson fumbles the ball at the 28-yard line. And then, about 2 plays later, the game was over. 31-yard touchdown pass to Zay Jones. Vegas wins 33-27. That was a wild game. And that was actually one of the better Monday night games, in a long time. The crowd was red hot. the players were, on fire. They were so fired up because remember, this was Vegas's first game in this stadium in front of a packed house. And it was a great game. Great game.
But you can look at this from a glass half full, glass empty scenario.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, yes, Lamar Jackson and company did falter at the end, but why wasn't Oakland playing that type of game, playing that high level of game early in the game? That if you look at it for both spectrums, yes, Lamar and them fucked up at the end. Yes, they turned the ball over.
Yes.
But Oakland was not playing at the peak of their ability that they could. They were not playing great football. They were playing sloppy football on all sides.
Terrible.
Hence why they were down, and they had to work 3 times as hard to get back into contention, to get back into even tying this game up. That
Fumbling,
right
interceptions, missed defense assignments, missed offensive routes assignments. I mean, you can't be playing behind like that all the time, because when they face Kansas City and they get behind 17-10 or even 17-7 or 24-10, they're not going to come back because Kansas City has a better offense.
And you talk about Vegas, and you're speaking on them. They're not in no slouch division either. I mean,
no,
I know it's 1 week, but one of the most underrated teams I think this year will be the Denver Broncos. I
thought you were going to say the Chargers. Okay, explain why.
Legitimate top 7-8 defenses in the league. If Teddy Bridgewater can somehow play like the pre-injury Bridgewater and get Sultan and guys like that the ball, they got big-time playmakers outside. If you can get them the ball, Melvin Gordon's showing up good, they're going to be a threat, as well as the Chargers. You got Justin Herbert, possible MVP candidate, that some people are expecting. So they're in a pretty tough division itself.
They are. I mean, that AFC West, it seems like it's a one-sided division, but you got Vegas lurking, you got LA lurking, and you got Kansas City. But Kevin, I'm very surprised that you are high on Denver, because I'm very surprised. I mean, they look good. They look good Sunday against Atlanta.
I love their young corner that's about to prove himself. If he can start, he's supposed to start for the corner they have that got injured. He's out for 4 or 5 weeks, I think. And Patrick Sultan will be the starter, and he's already had 2 picks in the preseason. He showed me he can play man coverage. He might be their next Chris Harris Jr. from 2015. That kind of corner. He might be a lockdown corner. And I'm very impressed. I have to shut my mouth on 2 things that I'm impressed with. I'm impressed with the Bengals. I said they were going to be horrible. I thought Joe Burrow was going to be hurt before the end of week 1. But watching how their offensive line actually protected him and let him get the ball to his playmakers, they're going to be toward their ceiling of wins this year, I believe, if they can keep it up. And Houston might not be the worst team in the league this year. I know it's going off 1 week, but Jacksonville looks pretty pathetic. That just goes to show you it's 22 guys on the field. It's offense and defense, not Trevor Lawrence.
Exactly.
And he looked horrible. He didn't have no offensive line protection. He ain't got no receivers hardly out there to get the ball to. Chark didn't really do much. And then you got on the other side, Houston just running all over the defense with a backup quarterback.
Terrible. But I tell you who looked really good on Sunday, Matthew Stafford. Oh my goodness. Dude, he looked like he was ready to go, because that was the first game in SoFi Stadium with a packed house. Man, there's a common theme going on here, because, man, all them receivers he has, Woods, Cup, all of those cats, man, Stafford looked like the team he should have been having all those years in Detroit. And obviously the only weapon he had really was either Bolden or Calvin Johnson. I mean, dude, Stafford, I think, is going to be the quarterback in that division that might carry the Rams to the division. Now, Russell Wilson had a great game in week 1. 4 touchdowns. I mean, Russell Wilson doing Russell Wilson things. When the pocket collapses, he knows how to run on the defenses. And, I mean, this division, like you said, Kevin, this division is the toughest division in the NFC.
And out of all West. 4 of them teams, every quarterback was very highly successful this week. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo threw for 340 yards and a touchdown and didn't turn the ball over outside of the fumble at the first of the game. Matt Stafford had a hell of a game. Kyler Murray, with all the weapons he's got out there, had a hell of a game, as well as Russell Wilson. Only took 23 passes to throw 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And gave me 30 points in my fantasy, I must add.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Definitely. Russell had a great game. 18 for 23, 254 yards, like you said, 4 TDs. Chris Carson on rushing, 16 carries from 91 yards. He had a very impressive game, but this one, big stat. Tyler Lockett, 4 receptions for 100 yards and 2 TDs.
Yep.
Lockett re-signed with the Seahawks this past offseason, and he's already game 1. He's starting to look like the Tyler Lockett of old. And I think he's going to be an absolute threat to any team, not just in their division, but the entire NFC. He's going to be an absolute threat.
Agree.
Oh yeah, I hate the receivers that's in that division because as well, I'm a Niner fan and I have to watch our corners that are hurt and stay hurt go against guys like DeAndre Hopkins, Robert Woods, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf. It's a tough division. It's a tough division out there.
Yes, definitely. It is a tough division. And one little quick note, you talked about Cleveland and Kansas City earlier. Quick little fact, Cleveland is 21-1 in season openers since 1999.
Mm-hmm.
Not a very impressive record, but I will give Cleveland all the respect in the world. They played out of their minds. This team has been great since last season. They've really shown their true colors. It's a team, we always used to make fun of. Our buddy Anthony in Nebraska here on the Nation's Quarter Discord, he actually went to that game this past weekend.
Yes.
With our good friend Ashley as well. And
yes. That was so great for them because you had a Kansas City fan and Ashley and Anthony being a diehard Browns fan, 2 fans of their diehard teams respectively, being at that game. And Anthony said that you could feel the ground shaking. People just like the stadium was rocking. I mean, I bet it was so electric, being in that stadium and 60,000+ people there. I mean, that was the best game of the week.
Absolutely. One other couple quick notes on some of the other games. The Chargers football team, Washington team game. Staley became the first LA head coach, or the Chargers head coach, to win a debut since Norv Turner in 2007.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a big one. And another big stat coming from the let's see. Let me look at one more game here real quick. Right here, Jameis Winston. He threw for 5 TDs, passing TDs. That is his career high.
And he was 14 of 20.
Absolutely. Great passer rating, great overall completion percentage. He did a great job. And it was a wild game. You guys want to dive more into the Ravens-Raiders game, or do you think we covered it enough?
Ravens better get better. That's all there is to it.
Yeah. Hell of a game.
Yeah, sorry, Christina in Baltimore.
Don't let them in the game. Anybody. You're gonna end up like the Falcons.
Oh God. Atlanta.
That don't close the games out, Baltimore. You're playing in the division where Cincinnati's on your tail. They're getting better. Pittsburgh, their offense and their defense is still legit. So good luck trying to score on them. And Cleveland, like I said, they done closed the gap on Kansas City. Imagine Cleveland and Baltimore.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of Pittsburgh, dude, that game to me was the most shocking game of the week besides Green Bay and New Orleans.
I was shocked. Josh Allen, I was high on him all since last year, and he just laid an egg for me. And a lot of that has to do with, granted, Minkah Fitzpatrick back there. He is a ball hawk at safety, and I don't understand why people rank Tyrann Mathieu from the Chiefs over Minkah Fitzpatrick. I don't understand it.
I don't get it either. You mentioned Fitzpatrick, and we're going to get right into that. Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to be out for up to 8 weeks due to a hip injury, but he has opted to go for rehab instead of going for surgery so that way he don't miss as much time. So he's expected to miss half of the 2021 season, according to NFL.com. Also, another injury note, the Cowboys defensive end, DeMarcus Lawrence, is going to miss a significant amount of time due to undergoing foot surgery for a broken foot. And you mentioned about the Baltimore Ravens missing pretty much everybody, almost missing running backs, missing defensive players because of injuries. 2 players tore their ACL in one singular day.
Back to back.
That is absolutely unheard of. A quick note about tonight's game: the Giants. They've already. The Giants have announced that they are ruling out Evan Ingram and Shane Lemieux ahead of their game against Washington tonight. Yep, and another quick injury note before we move on: Odell Beckham Jr. will not play against the Texans.
I seen that.
Ooh, interesting.
Yep.
Hey, like Steven said, they're better without him.
Yes,
let him rest.
Absolutely. I mean, seriously, if when Odell does come back, it's going to screw up the entire flow of the team.
Let him rest.
Yeah, absolutely. Let him rest. Let's go ahead and move on to some Major League Baseball news. And there was some breaking news that went down today involving the All-Star game for next year, or for 2023. And that is that Seattle will be getting the midpoint game for 2023.
Interesting.
It's going to go to Emerald City. The Mariners announced that T-Mobile Park will host the 23-23 All-Star game.
When's the last time that they hosted an All-Star game, if any?
Let me look that up actually right now.
I haven't seen them host one in a minute, a while.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm looking right now. They said the last time they hosted it was 1979.
Oh, shoot.
1979 at the demolished Kingdome in Seattle. So,
wow. It's been a long time then.
Yep. Yeah, it's been a long time, man. Over 42 years. That's insanity to think about there.
I'm glad, though. I'm glad they're hosting it because the city of Seattle, they deserve something, man. When their basketball team left, they deserved the Super Bowl when they won it, and they deserve this, too. I'm happy for the city.
Yeah, I'm happy for the city, too, that they get this because it's going to bring a lot of revenue. It's going to bring a lot of eyes to the city once again. I mean, despite Seattle having a great football team, unfortunately that's about it for them in the world of sports. They just got the Seattle Kraken ice hockey team, which will make its debut this upcoming season. That's fronted by one of the greats of all time, David Hextall. But outside of that, really they don't have much in the way because the Sonics left years ago. The Mariners, unfortunately, are not doing much as far as anything significant. So with that being said, I think this is great for the team, or I think this is great for the city to bring eyes to the city, bring revenue to it, and to make it basically a tourist attraction for a whole weekend.
Good. I'm glad.
Absolutely. One other I want to get to you guys with this. One of the craziest things that I've seen in a long time.
Okay.
During the Baltimore Orioles-Yankees game the other night, the whole grounds crew got ejected.
What? What?
You think I'm kidding? You can look up the video yourselves.
What?
That's for Steven, Kevin, and everybody watching this. Yes, during the game, there was a chance of inclement weather, and they had the entire grounds crew hiding behind the tarp, waiting to roll it out in case it was going to rain.
Okay.
Well, the ref, for some reason, veteran third base umpire Tim Timmons, he threw them all out. For what reason, I have no idea. And then as soon as he threw them out, guess what? It started to rain.
That's karma to the fire. Bob.
Oh my God.
I thought it was like a joke or something, and I actually
I
watched
think it's gonna rain.
Wait. Did the umpire have to roll the tarp out then?
Wow.
I don't know. I don't know.
The umpire had to roll the tarp out himself since the groundskeepers. Or they made the ball boys do it.
You can think it. Like I said, you can think it's people can think it's ridiculous, but you can look that shit up right now. You can find that video on MLB.com.
That's hilarious.
Ejected the whole entire grounds crew for the Orioles.
You inject them? Well, the wrath of God will make it rain upon you.
Of course, Stephen, of course. All right, let's get into some more baseball news now that we got that silliness out of the way. And that is that they announced that Shohei Ohtani will not be pitching on Friday because of a sore right arm. But that could also sideline him for the rest of the year.
Oh.
Ooh, not good. Not good. Because, man, he was playing so good. So good.
My question for that then is if he's sidelining from pitching, possibly, will he still be DHing in the lineup?
Yeah, he'll still play, he'll still hit, but he won't be pitching.
Okay.
Yeah, just to clear that up.
Good for the Angels then.
Just to clear that up, he won't be pitching anymore, which I think is going to be best for him as the season comes to a close.
Exactly.
I think he really needs to focus more on the offensive side of the football or the baseball than the defensive
Agreed.
side. To me, that's where he's a great pitcher. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But to me, Shohei Ohtani is best when he's hitting the ball. I mean, look at who the other. Actually, speaking of that, who the other day hit? I think they hit like 41 home runs or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Who was that? I'm trying to remember because somebody the other day hit was hitting close. I'm trying to think. There was an MLB News the other day.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I think it was. Oh man, sorry about that, folks. We're all trying to get our shit together here.
Yeah,
we know that Shohei Ohtani back on the 26th hit his 41st home run. We know that.
Yep.
Here it is. Here it is, guys. It was Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Okay.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He hit if I'm remembering right, is that he actually, here we go, 45th. He hit his 45th home run of the season.
Nice.
Which also surpassed his father for the most home runs in a season.
Nice.
So he's already breaking records, including his own dad.
I do want to bring up something about the Ohtani situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're right.
Go ahead.
You're right about him need to be worried about the offensive side of the plate hitting the ball, because I think I read it correctly the other day. Speaking of injuries, I think they said Mike Trout's not expected to play the rest of the year.
Ooh.
So if that's true, they really need his bat then.
Yes.
And especially the fact that he's pitching. When he's pitching, you're pitching. You got a 5-man rotation, so you're pitching 1 in 5 games at the plate. He'd be hitting every game. So you need his hitting a little bit more than you need his pitching.
Exactly.
Yeah. Actually, you're dead on there, Kevin. Actually, this was a quote from Joe Madden, the Angels manager. He said that he would be very surprised if Mike Trout plays again this season.
Oof.
That's a tough blow.
Yeah, he's dealing with a very bad calf strain right now.
Yeah, that's not good. Not good.
Yeah, they're gonna need Ohtani on that. They're gonna need Ohtani on that side of the plate really bad if they're gonna, especially if they want to keep the momentum up right now. So, but let's go ahead and one thing. Oh yeah, there is one thing I wanted to bring up about baseball real quick, and that is one of the greats actually retired recently, and that is Ryan Braun. Ryan Braun was considered of course, considered a home run king for the Milwaukee Brewers.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. Here's a couple of stats on Ryan Braun. He's hit 352 home runs. He ranks. He's played all 14 of his MLB seasons with the Brewers. He ranks second in franchise history in career RBIs, extra base hits, total bases, and doubles. And he ranks third in runs, hits, triples, stolen bases, and walks.
He's a true legend in Milwaukee.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, he started to develop some back issues and then had to call it a career. So definitely fond farewell to Ryan Braun and what he did for Milwaukee. Definitely a future possible Hall of Fame player. It's going to be up to interpretation, but all the best to him. Really, that's it for baseball news. Before I get to anything else, let's go ahead and do a quick score update, courtesy of course, ESPN, on the sports going on today. So let's pull up scores right now, and here we go. Of course, like we said, Giants Washington. That's going to start at 8:20 Eastern, 7:20 Central, over on whatever station you have it on, because I don't know what everybody has. The Yankees Orioles are playing right now. Yankees up 2-1 in the bottom of the seventh. Cubs leading the Phillies 7-0 in the bottom of the fourth. The Tigers and the Rays are winning the game 2-0 in the bottom of the second. And then Reds beat the Pirates 1-0. Angels beat the White Sox 9-3. The A's beat the Royals 7-2, and the Padres beat the Giants 7-4. As far as that's it. As far as the scores for today, that was quick. But let's go ahead and let's get right into some little bit of some MMA news before we jump back over to basketball. I wanted to talk to you about this, Steven, and that is that one of the best flyweights in UFC history has called it a career, and that is former Team Alpha Male candidate Joseph Benavidez. Benavidez, of course, was a teammate of Uriah Faber and many a Team Alpha Male. He was the number 5 ranked flyweight in the UFC's flyweight division on March 21st. He leads with a record of 28-8, which ain't nothing to snuff at. 8 wins by knockout, 9 by submission. He's a great fighter. Let's see what else. He's got 1 knockout of the night performance, 3 performance of the night performances. Most wins in the UFC flyweight division with 13. He's tied with Demetrius Johnson on that stat. Most fights in the UFC flyweight division at 19, and the most knockout wins in the UFC flyweight division at 5.
Very impressive.
Yep, and he's also a fight of the night competitor in WEC with Dominic Cruz, and a submission of the night fight against Miguel Angel Torres. Steven, your thoughts on Benavidez?
Oh man, the stat speaks for itself. I mean, hell of a career. I mean, man, just the numbers speak for themselves. I mean, dude had a lot of great fights during his times, fighting and all that stuff. So, yeah, it's gonna be a big loss for the MMA world,
Yeah, absolutely. He was, like I said, he was best. He's actually proclaimed April 27th as Joseph Benavidez Day in La Cruces, where he's from, and he's also married to Megan Olivier from UFC as well. But best wishes to Joseph Benavidez on his future. What I really want to get into with you guys is we just got some more news, Steven, and that is and Kevin, and that is that the natural born killer Carlos Condit has announced his retirement from mixed martial arts.
Wow.
Interesting.
And if you guys out there know who Carlos Condit is, they don't call him the natural born killer for nothing. This dude is a great fighter, one of the best out there. Unfortunately, after a little skid, he never kind of went back to his old ways. But Carlos is 32-14, 9-10 in the UFC. He's had 46 fights, date back to 2002. So he's been at this game for 19 years. When he made his WEC debut, he was 18-4 in 07. The dude holds a great record. He's a former WEC welterweight champion, and he's also a former interim UFC welterweight champion as well. So that news just actually broke just a few minutes ago on Carlos Condit calling it a career there. I kind of want to jump back into football because there's one thing we didn't discuss that I apologize for, and that is that we got to talk about week 2. We never discussed week 2 in the NFL. Never really got to look at any of the games. So with that being said, let me run down the schedule for week 2 in the NFL. Of course, Thursday, we got the Giants and Washington football team. Like I said, that's tonight. Sunday, we got the Patriots and the Jets, Broncos and Jaguars, Bills and Dolphins, 49ers and the Eagles, Rams and Colts, Raiders and Steelers, Bengals and Bears, Texans and Browns, Saints and the Panthers, Vikings and the Cardinals, Falcons and the Bucks, Titans and the Seahawks, Cowboys and Chargers, and the Sunday night game, Chiefs and the Ravens. And then Monday night will be Green Bay and Detroit. So, Kevin, what are some of your thoughts for week 2, and who do you see being some of the best matchups for that weekend?
I honestly, there's a lot of good games going on then, and the Monday night game, the Packers should hopefully get on track, get their shit together. They're playing the worst defense, and I'm a surprise some people with this. But I think the Chargers are going to upset the Cowboys. That's going to be my hot take for the week. Of course, the NFC West, I think they all got a chance to win again. Probably going to win again. And the Colts just drew the short end of the stick. First, you have to play the Seahawks, then you have to play the Rams. That don't look good for them. And the night's game is all right. The Giants and the Redskins, it's going to be, or the Washington football team, it's going to be a defensive struggle. First team to 20 wins, in my opinion.
Are you sure it's the first team to like 3 points?
Yeah, it could be.
Especially with the way the Giants play, and that's no offense to Giants fans. It also includes 36M's own Lance Meadow, one of our guests from a couple weeks ago, who unfortunately covers the Giants. I send my condolences to you, buddy. But Steven, you're up, my buddy. What are your thoughts on week 2's matchups, and what do you see are some of the most exciting games, and kind of your opinions, and what do you think may be an upset or two?
I mean, now that Sunday night game is going to be pretty good. You know, Kansas City and Baltimore, that should be pretty good. But the one game that scares me the most is Tennessee and Seattle. I mean, because Tennessee's got to get it together. They got to get it together because they could be 0-2. They could be 0-2.
Yes.
Vegas and Steelers is interesting. I mean, I don't know how I feel about that game because, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be an interesting game.
One quick note about that, Steven. 6 of the last 8 matches between the Raiders and the Steelers have been decided by 3 points or fewer.
Whoa. Okay. Well, there you go. That could be, you know, that's good. The stats don't lie. The stats do not lie. And Green Bay.
Got a hot take about it.
Oh, go ahead. What's up?
Go ahead.
Hot take, Raiders 24, Steelers 21. I'm calling.
All right. There you go.
I call another comeback. I'm going to say Vegas 27. Let's see. 27-20. 27-20. I have Kansas City win 34-20. I'm sorry, 34-24. I have Seattle winning 24-17. I think the Saints are going to beat Carolina. I don't trust Seattle's
Carolina.
The Titans, right?
Correct.
That's going to be a hard-fought game.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very hard game. It says Derrick Henry and Carson ranked the top 5 in rushing yards since 2018. Little stat there on that.
Only one lock for the week. fellas. I think only one lock you can honestly lock in. My lock's going to be Tampa Bay 41, Atlanta 21. I'm gonna say
you know
that.
what? No. You know what? I'm gonna say even better. 43 to 10.
Oh God.
Yeah, that's how bad Atlanta sucks.
See it.
Atlanta sucks.
Yikes.
Yeah, Atlanta's gonna be terrible this year. Terrible. Who did the Eagles play again?
But we got Niners got the Eagles in Philly.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Niners 31-28 against Philly.
Ooh, I say San Francisco 28 to 24.
I say that.
I say 31-28, 49ers over the Eagles. As far as
I said 31-28.
Yeah, as far as the Steelers and the Raiders, I think that game. I think it's gonna be 31-31. Raiders over Steelers.
Dallas plays who again?
The Cowboys, the Cowgirls, the Cowgirls. Sorry, Tony. I mean, at least they're playing better. I mean, finally, I guess Jerry Jones
took him years.
Yeah, well, Jerry Jones, I think, finally got that rhinestone stick out of his ass. But I digress.
Yeah.
Let's see. Cowboys are playing the Chargers.
Ooh, okay. Sorry. Dallas is going to go down 0-2. I think the Chargers are going to win this game. I'm going to say 23-20.
I'm going to say it's a shootout. I'm going to say it's going to be 34-31 Chargers.
Wow.
I say Dak throws for 4 touchdowns. I see it happening. And then I'm still going to be sitting there with my Stephen A. Cowboy hat and my cigar saying, how about them Cowboys?
Cowboys are a disaster waiting to happen. I can hear it now.
A disaster.
I'm going 27-24 Chargers over the Cowboys.
Everybody's on.
I think that's a decent score. I think they'll play very well. I don't think it's going to be super high scoring. It's going to be close, but I think that both teams are going to play a great game regardless. So
I just hope, speaking of the Cowboys for a second, I just hope that Jerry Jones actually opened his ears and opened his eyes and realized that Dak should have been the one being paid the whole time. He paid his defense last year. They paid Jalen Smith, DeMarcus Lawrence, and all them guys for the first 8 games be the worst defense in the NFL in 50 years. And then you pay Amari Cooper to literally go to sleep on you. Same way with Zeke. You pay Zeke not to do a damn thing in week 1. But the one guy you don't pay, when he got hurt, you just, if you watch the video, like Cowboys players were crying. They were upset. You could tell he is the leader of this team. And I hope that opened Jerry Jones' eyes to saying, hey, he's our guy.
It's a pretty good take. I think personally, Jerry Jones needs to open his eyes more, like you said. He needs to open his eyes and his ears instead of his checkbook. That's my opinion. I think that he signs players for the purpose of just star power instead of signing them for talent.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Jerry Jones isn't a visionary. Jerry Jones didn't pick some great players over the years. He did. Jerry Jones and him, the crew. I mean, look at who they got. They had some great defenders, great passes. That Jason Witten, Sean Lee. They had great players they picked up over the years. Des Bryant. I'm not gonna fault Jerry for something, but he has made a lot of mistakes, and so has a lot of the front office. They've made their mistakes in the past.
Absolutely.
But I think they may have gotten it right this time. Especially with Dak coming in and he's playing really great. I need Ezekiel Elliott to show me more though.
And I feel like he could. They won't feed him the ball, but Dak's picking up that slack, I will say. And I've been saying Dak's a great quarterback in my eyes. He's top 10, and he should have been paid like top 10 2 years ago, I think. But I mean, and Ezra, you can vouch for me because you've seen Andy Dalton play. Dak's over there throwing 450 yards a game. Andy Dalton can't even get over 200 yards a game with that talent they got in Dallas. He sucks. And that just shows you how different Dak is from your ordinary Joe like Andy Dalton.
Absolutely, and like you said, there's a big difference between a Dak Prescott and an Andy Dalton. And Andy Dalton, unfortunately, has proven that he is not a reliable quarterback. And that's just not me saying it because I'm a Bears fan or anything like that. If you looked at his years in Cleveland, if you looked at his years in Dallas, you could see clear as day in front of the nose in front of your face that Andy Dalton is not the quarterback of the future for a team that is wanting to win a championship or that is wanting to contend for a title. Unfortunately, Andy, I think no, because I think he's far past his prime. I think he's far past I'm not going to say to coach better, but I think that his time is just come and gone as far as being an elite quarterback. He could have been a few years ago if he put all the tools together, but I think it's already too late. And it's going to be the downfall of it's been a downfall of Cleveland. It's been a downfall of Dallas when Dak was gone. And now, unfortunately, it may be the downfall of Chicago if they don't get things together. And it's just a matter of adjustments overall. And I'm not going to get into a whole discussion about Chicago right now because we'll talk about that later. But back to Dallas, I think like I said, I think they got it right with bringing in Dak and then and everybody. I think that team is very well balanced now. They just got to put it all together and make great plays. And I think this week could be a week where they could do it. Maybe, you never know. They could shock. Like I said, anything can happen on any given Sunday.
Exactly. And another game that I want to talk about that I think it's pretty lopsided is the Rams and the Colts. I mean, the Rams with all the firepower on the offense.
No, you don't say.
Yeah, that's completely lopsided. I think the Rams are going to absolutely destroy the Colts 35-14. And another game that's going to be interesting because I think he's going to do well in this game, Matt Jones for the Patriots against the Jets.
Yep, and I was just about to say, that's another thing I missed on earlier, and that's my bad. I'm very impressed with Mac Jones. Like, I thought he'd come in and he'd show some rookie struggles, but he's playing like he's a 2 or 3 year player. Like,
man, he looks so good on Sunday. I'm like, wow,
Belichick
this kid's
got that right. Belichick cut Cam, cut the vet, and said it's the rookie's time. He's ready. Yep. I doubted that. I'm sorry for doubting Bill Belichick. I said, but he's played like he kept his calm. He kept his composure. He made some good throws. I mean, he had a pretty good game for his first ever game. Yeah, I'm very impressed with him.
He did.
Yeah, he did, absolutely.
And it's going to get better by playing the Jets. He's going to get time to build some confidence.
Oh, yeah. Them. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if he throws for 250.
I wouldn't either. You let Sam Darnold throw all over you. I can imagine Mac Jones going to have a field day with him.
Yep, exactly.
Hell, he might hit 300 with it being the Jets.
Yeah, hell, just throw cover 0.
Yeah.
Cover 0. It works.
Oh, dear God. Don't talk about that. Good God. In all my years of football, playing football, coaching football, I've never in my life seen a Hail Mary situation a defensive coordinator do is build a line at the goal line and say, just don't pass. Just stop you there. Knock the ball down. Not one-on-one getting burned on a go route.
You know what, Kevin? And we totally forgot to bring this up. We were talking about the Vegas and Baltimore game. How about the game-winning touchdown for Derek Carr? The defender gave up on the play. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You're supposed to cover the receiver. I mean, if he scores on you and you cover him, great, fine. That's what happens. Sometimes the offensive player gets the better end of the defensive player. But to flat out give up on the defensive end, I mean, Kevin Harlan and Kurt Warner were doing the game on Westwood One on Sirius XM, and Kurt and Kevin were just beside themselves. They're like, what is going on? Like, this makes no sense. I mean, how do you give up on the play? It made no sense. And that's the one thing I worry about Baltimore. In this game Sunday against Kansas City, I think they're going to get exposed. Their defense is going to get exposed bad.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree.
Tyreek Hill is not someone you can play man coverage or forget where you're supposed to be at. Because he's going to be throwing up the peace sign at you, running down the 40-yard line, wide open down the sideline, telling you bye that he's gone.
Yeah, that's the thing is if you don't put a man or two on Tyreek Hill, it's gonna be a long, long day. Because Tyreek Hill could get open, he could get down that field, especially if he hits that right, he hits that second gear, hits that stutter step, and loses his defender, then that's all he needs is that little opening of space to get out to that sideline, catch that ball, and go down it for a TD. Tyreek Hill, to me, is one of the most underrated, underappreciated receivers in the entire NFL.
Definitely. He's definitely top 3. Definitely. I'm not like, I will give DeAndre Hopkins the number 1 spot, but
absolutely,
I personally would rather have Tyreek Hill over Devonta Adams.
Exactly. And speaking of said DeAndre Hopkins, his former team, the Texans, this game against Cleveland, this right here is going to be Cleveland showcase right here. I think Baker Mayfield is going to have a great game. I think he's going to throw for at least 300 yards, maybe a couple of touchdowns. I think the double threat of Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb is going to run all over that Texas defense, because Houston, they will have a problem against Cleveland. I say 27-14 Cleveland.
And that is the lethal combo that Cleveland has, is Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb. That has been their go-to combo, 1-2 punch that you said, Steven. That has been their bread and butter. That has been their success. I mean, don't get me wrong. The rest of the team is a great team on all sides of the ball, rushing, defending, receiving. Their whole team is very well balanced. But if you take a look, you got Baker Mayfield, who's steadily improved as a quarterback over the past couple of seasons, because he's now got the right balance of guys, the right people to throw to. But you got Kareem Hunt, you got Nick Chubb, who are the dual threat, who I think is going to be the difference maker this season in really helping that team get deeper into the playoffs and possibly win that division title.
Absolutely. And another game that I'm looking at, Denver and Jacksonville, that has blowout all written across the board. Kevin, I know you talked about how you're high on Denver. I think Denver is going
He's mile high on Denver.
Yep. Got him. I think Denver's going to win that game. I think they're going to win 34-6.
Man, that sounds like a worse ass beating than what Thunder Rosa gave the Dave LaGreca on Busted Open yesterday.
Oh my God, that was hilarious. I'm like, we need to go to break. I've been
waiting for a moment to bring that up. I've been waiting for a moment to bring that little catchphrase.
Oh my God, if anybody has not seen
that's what Denver about to give Jacksonville, so that's it.
Dude, if anybody has not seen Thunder Rosa beating the absolute bejesus out of Dave LaGreca, you need to go check that out, because that is hilarious. Dave been running his mouth, blah, 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 blah. And Thunder said, I'm going to come to your house and beat the living fuck out of you. Yeah, she did that. She did just that. I mean,
we don't really want to get
going back to the...
Yeah.
But guys, going back to the Cleveland game for a second.
Yeah.
You know where they're really winning at right now? Like, I can agree with Baker. He's stepping up, but they're really winning in the trenches. The game is always in football, won in the trenches. Tampa proved it last year against Mahomes. No matter how super your offense is, their defensive line just pounded their O-line. And
exactly.
for 42 minutes of the previous Super Bowl with the 49ers and Mahomes, they were in Mahomes' ass in the trenches. They were winning the offensive battle up the line. They were making them scared, happy.
Absolutely.
Feet. Same way. Cleveland, they're doing that. They were all over their ass for a while in that game, and they're just getting better. Myles Garrett seems to get even more better every year. And he's on not exactly Aaron Donald like, but he's pretty scary. You better double team him. Double team him or you're done.
And Lance Meadows said something on our show that was very eye-opening when it comes to Kevin Stefanski. Nobody talks about what Stefanski has done for Cleveland. He has done a tremendous job getting this team to believe in his system. And just the simple fact that he has the players around him, because not only do you have to have great players, but you got to have a great coach, and the players have to believe in the system that Stefanski is running. And what they have right now, it's still hard to believe that we're saying this in 2021, that Cleveland is one of the top teams in the AFC. And I picked them to win the division. Kevin, you picked them to win the division. Joey picked them to win the division. I mean, it's crazy. He thinks it's going to be between Baltimore and Cleveland, and I agree with that. But I think Cleveland is the better team than Baltimore. I mean, I don't trust Lamar Jackson in the big time picture because Jackson is one of those players when the pocket collapses, he panics. And I asked a question to Lance. What has Lamar learned from his mistakes? Because last year in that playoff game, you know what? Honestly, it's going back to 2 years ago when they took on Tennessee in the divisional game. Tennessee exposed Lamar Jackson for what he was at that time. Was he great that year in 2019? Yes, he was. But they beat him down to a pulp. They beat him up, and then he didn't recover. And then the next year, in the playoff game against Buffalo, Baltimore was driving down the field. The game was tied at 3. And then that back-breaking interception thrown by Jackson to Buffalo sealed the deal. And the Bills ended up winning that game 17-3. And I asked a question to Lance. Do you think Lamar has learned from his mistakes? He said, I don't think that. I just think that, people, are knowing how he runs his schemes. And you know what? He has a point because now that you know how he plays, he's predominantly a running quarterback. He's not a pocket passer like a Patrick Mahomes, like a Tom Brady, like an Aaron Rodgers, like a Dak Prescott. He's not.
You know what?
What's up?
While we're on the Lamar Jackson story, you want to know a stat that I find very crazy, but it's true.
Go ahead.
Everybody who says Lamar Jackson is that dude passing the ball, get this. How about Jalen Hurts has more 300-yard passing games in only 5 career starts with two of them than Lamar Jackson has in 38 career starts with just one 300-yard passing
If
game.
I'm not mistaken, Kevin, was that the Monday night game from 2019? I forget who they played. It might have been.
I'm not sure, but I find that stat very crazy because these people, and then, you got your people to say, well, Lamar ain't got no receivers. I get that, but who really does Jalen Hurts have? I mean, This year, Devonta Smith, but who do you have last year?
Nobody.
Zach Ertz was beat up all year. I mean, he still done it, but I mean, I guess Baltimore just wants to run the ball. But
I mean,
kind of hard to run when 3 running backs tear their ACL.
Exactly, and that's another thing. They were bitten by the curse of the injury bug, and Lance said it on our show a few weeks ago. He said that which teams are going to be bitten by the injury bug, and it looks like it's going to be Baltimore because the 3 running backs going down with those injuries. My goodness, that could have not come at a worse time for the Ravens. I mean, huge losses for Baltimore. And speaking of a huge loss, dude, nobody's talking about this, but Marks from New Mexico has said this in our Zooms before, that the biggest loss for Baltimore was getting rid of Mark Ingram.
Yes.
Huge. I'm like, what are you doing? He's your best running back. And now you're paying for it. The football gods have spoken once again. I do not trust Baltimore this year. I do not. Because even if they're supposed to beat teams like they're supposed to beat, I mean, because the Bengals are not a great football team from top to bottom, but if I don't trust Baltimore against Cincinnati this year, I really don't. I'm not going to trust them against, any other team they face basically that's competition, like Cleveland. I think Cleveland might beat Baltimore both times this year, if you want to know the truth.
It very well could. It depends on, like I said, scheduling, how their schedule looks. Are they on a road trip? I mean, there's so many factors, but I could see it definitely happen.
Yeah, definitely. One thing I wanted to bring up about that game, you mentioned about Baltimore. They said that they are playing the Chiefs. Well, Patrick Mahomes has an 11-0 record with 35 passing touchdowns and 0 interceptions in his career in September.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Think about that. Think about that. That is a hellish stat. And we were talking about we're also talking about the Cleveland game. You mentioned about Kevin Stefanski, the coach. Cleveland is 5-0 in games following a loss under Kevin. So they have after one loss, they win 5 right off the bat. So it's going to be interesting if that stat rings true for that team.
Mm-hmm. And another game.
Feel bad about their loss though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Another game.
Their loss come. I mean, anybody else they would win. Playing the way they did. Anybody else, 9 times out of 10, that's a win. But just because you're playing Mahomes, that's just not even fair.
Yep. Another game that I'm interested in is the Vikings and the Cardinals. I mean, that right there is going to be something because Kirk Cousins, how's he going to be this week? And he's going against that Cardinals defense led by J.J. Watt. And I think the Cardinals are going to win this game. I think they're going to win 24-14. I don't trust Minnesota because you don't know what team you're going to get with this team each week, even though it's only going to be 2 weeks in this week. Minnesota's the same team. They're the same team.
Yep.
Patrick
you're talking about the wrong man, though.
Yep.
Yeah, Patrick Peterson will be playing against Arizona for the first time since he left. So.
Yep.
You know what? You're talking about the wrong man, though. J.J. Watt's just a distraction. The way I seen Chandler Jones get after the quarterback the other day, 4 sacks in the first quarter alone. Tannehill, he still dreams of him.
And ended up with 5 all by himself. My God.
5, yeah.
My God.
Had a record day for himself. I guess they ain't learned to block him, I guess. They were so worried about J.J. Watt. I mean, I'm more concerned, like I told people at the beginning of the year, the rookie quarterbacks. Mac Jones has probably looked better than any of them. Like back to what we were saying. And it all goes to what the organization done other than that. Mac Jones, okay, New England, they did what they do. Like, Belichick and Robert Kraft, they get their team, they regather them. What did the Jets do? They didn't get no offensive weapons for Zach Wilson. They didn't upgrade their O-line, so you're throwing a rookie quarterback to the Wolves, essentially, in the AFC East. Same way with Jacksonville. Okay, Urban Meyer. He's a great college coach. What can he do in the NFL? He ain't proved nothing. Then Jacksonville didn't they got DJ Charker, but that's all. They lost their supposed start running back in ETNA for the year early in training camp. They don't got an offensive line. Trevor Lawrence looked scared for his life back there. The only quarterbacks I think set up for success out of this rookie group are Trey Lance, Justin Fields, and Mac Jones. I think that's your 3 guys who are going to be successful because of the system and the organization they're in.
If you bring up Mac Jones again, which is interesting, I looked at his stats from last game, 29-39, 281 yards and 1 touchdown. He had a very impressive showing last week.
Very impressive.
And I think this week he can continue that trend, especially against the Jets team, like you said. It's the same Jets team from last year, basically, still not that great, still depleted, still not having the right cast of characters needed to make any sort of success. It's the same old Jets that we've seen before, unfortunately. And it's, and that's the problem is, you mentioned, and I want to get into Justin Fields now in Chicago. That was a game from last week that we really didn't dig into, was the Rams and the Bears. And it was once again a proof, like I said earlier, that Andy Dalton fortunately cannot get the job done, and that his old habits die hard. And still throwing interceptions, still making critical errors, still, not giving his chance for his receivers to get open, freaking out, whatever the case may be. To me, they put it Justin Fields. Justin Fields freaking had a good showing for the limited time that he was out there.
You know what? If I'm Chicago this week against Cincinnati, I would actually start Justin Fields, even though they won't do it, because Justin Fields to me is the future of Chicago. It's not Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton's been in the league for 10 plus years.
Well, I tell you what, though, as far as Chicago, they were smart not to start Justin Fields against Aaron Donald in week 1, though.
No.
That ain't how you want to start your NFL career.
Very smart.
Very smart.
No, you might want to let Dalton take that sacrifice and let them start against a smaller, maybe Jets team if they would play someone like that, Detroit. Someone that he could get
I would start him.
dominate.
I would start him against Houston.
Good, I could see that, and I would. I definitely would. If it came down to it by week 3 or 4, if I'm a Chicago fan, I'm screaming, get the hell out of Chicago, Andy Dalton. You're no longer welcome. They're going to run him out of Chicago, run him out of the whole state of Illinois, and make Justin Fields their quarterback.
Because Ezra can sit here and attest to this, and he brought it up on the show, and Lance Meadows saw right through it. He's like, I know you want Justin Fields to be your quarterback because Ezra knows. The fans of Chicago know that Justin Fields is the long-term answer for Chicago. He's the best quarterback pick selection that they've had in the draft in God knows how long. I mean, Andy Dalton looked like he was seeing stars after that first game against LA. I mean, I knew even before the game started, I said the Rams are going to kill Chicago. And they did. They did.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, and that's the thing. No, go ahead, Kevin.
And it's a little different situational in San Francisco where Trey Lance, he's going to be the long-term answer.
Yeah.
But right now, it's a different situation. Andy Dalton's just not getting a fire lit under his ass and trying to play.
Oh,
Jimmy Garoppolo got a fire under his ass and he's playing.
Absolutely.
I mean, granted, it was the Lions, but 340 yards and very efficient.
Touchdown, yep.
Had like a 70% completion percentage. It's pretty impressive, especially when they bring Trey Lance in to throw his first touchdown. Jimmy's his feeling is, I'm playing to win now because next year I want a contract from another team because
exactly
we're not keeping him next year. They're not going to keep Jimmy. They're going to let him go on his way, let him go where he wants, and he's playing for money. He's trying to build his resume to where he gets paid by somebody.
Yep.
And I was looking at some of the stats from the Chicago game on the Bears side of the ball. If you take a look, the Bears only had one full sack between all of their defenders. Key makes with a half sack and Robert Quinn with a half sack. And the reason why is because the offense had to work twice as hard.
Mm-hmm.
The offense had to work twice as hard, not giving the defense the ample time to rest. So, but also Andy Dalton threw one interception, but he was 27 for 38, 206. That ain't bad.
Not bad.
That's not bad. But if you look at the rushing, nobody had more than 45 yards rushing.
Right.
Nobody had more than 45 yards rushing. Their rushing should have been a lot higher. Their defensive, their sacks should have been a lot higher. There's a lot of statistics. And Justin Fields we discussed this when Justin Fields first was announced as a pick for Chicago in the draft, is that Justin has higher numbers as a college player than Andy Dalton did when he was in college.
Right.
Justin Fields had better stats and everything. To me, but here's also the thing. I understand he's a rookie. I get that. But why didn't you give him the chance to really show himself there was no competition. They basically said, oh, Andy Dalton's our guy. Andy Dalton's our guy. I get they want Justin Fields to learn and grow and not throw him into the fire too early. I get that. But when you're dealing with a quarterback who has been so inconsistent, who has been just absolutely a threat to nobody in Andy Dalton, he's becoming the new interception king now that Jay Cutler has left the building. And thank God for that. I don't want to get into that discussion. But he could go fight over Kristen Cavallari over what he owes and what she doesn't. They could have their little spat somewhere else.
Yeah.
Keep it away from fucking Chicago.
Exactly. But, and talking about that game in Chicago, I think this game to me is the most interesting one from a scoring standpoint because I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game. I think Chicago is going to win this game, but I think it's going to be 17-14.
Yeah, I kind of think it's going to be around that 17-14, 14-10, something along those lines. It's not going to be super high scoring. No, but I think the Bears will walk away with this one.
But going back to what you were saying, Ezra, though, with Chicago, Andy Dalton, they weren't bad numbers, but if I'm only seeing you're throwing for 200 yards, I better see my running back having a 100-yard game.
Exactly.
20-something rushes, like that's success. That means you're ground and pound. But if I only see nobody, like you said, no more than 45 yards, that's telling me there's a lot of 3 and outs, a lot of short passes that's not getting for first downs, and that's putting your defense right back on the field with limited rest, trying to chase Matt Stafford and Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp and all them around the field, and then having to go sit down and come right back out on the field. And the Rams ain't no running team. They'll let you know straight up they're going to throw the ball.
Yeah.
They're going to get you tired. And then you're running down the field chasing them, trying to block, and then it's just not a good look.
And I think where the Rams are most dangerous is it's going to be in the no huddle this year. If they can get that no huddle offense going, watch out. They're going to be scoring a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah, that's scary. See, that's what makes like a San Francisco defense so lethal. Or Pittsburgh, they run the ball. They keep the defense on the sidelines. Win the time of possession. If you win the time of the possession, you get more possessions or more snaps.
Exactly.
Which most cases, you get more chances to score. And in most cases, unless your defense sucks, you're going to win. The only case I've seen is them Cowgirls. They had 20-something more possessions than the Bucks and still managed to be the Cowboys. Lose. Doing cowboy things.
Yep, just like the total opposite with Kansas City. Cowboys doing cowboy things, like you just said, losing in the end because they know how to blow it.
Yeah, I want to get into some more stats on the Chicago game because if you take a look, this is some of the percentages and numbers that from the team stats. If you take a look at the average yards per play, LA had 7.7 compared to Chicago, who only had 4.7 yards. Another things. Chicago had 1 fumble lost, 1 thrown interception, 3 sacks allowed. And their third down efficiency was 45% compared to 54% to LA. And here's the shocking thing. Time of possession, Chicago, 35 minutes and 14 seconds compared to LA, which was 24:46.
What?
You had the time of possession, but you couldn't make shit happen.
Oh my God,
that is awful.
What? That's terrible. That is garbage.
And I believe, if I'm not correct, not 1 sack of those came from Aaron Donald.
Nope.
But that is because I will say people it don't show up on the stat sheet, but I call it the Aaron Donald effect. It's like in basketball, you call it the Steph Curry effect. They're trying to triple team Aaron Donald. So you got gaps where the other guys are getting to the quarterback one-on-one. So he's literally occupying everyone's attention, getting his other D lineman able to get free pass rushes straight at the quarterback.
It's insane, but hopefully this will be a better season. Hopefully this will be a better week for Chicago, but we'll see.
Hey, Kirk, though, you're playing NFC North.
Speaking of the NFC North, the final game for this week is a Monday Night Football game between the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions. Green Bay coming off that embarrassing, pitiful, bullshit excuse of a loss, 38-3 against Detroit, who has been the absolute cesspool of the NFC North for the past 10 years.
I'm sorry, but if Green Bay cannot pull it together and win this game against Detroit and only the second game of the NFL season, son, we got some problems. I'm sorry, but
you know what? No, I don't think it's going to be as easy as people make it seem to be.
I agree.
Because
I absolutely agree.
I'm a Niner fan, so I watched the whole entire game the other day. And Detroit, there's one thing that you can't teach or coach in football, and it's hard. Them guys didn't quit. I mean, we quit, obviously. The 49ers quit after going up 28. But what did the Rams do? Not the Rams. What did the Lions do? What did Goff do? He stood in there. Hockenson stood in there. That DeAndre Swift, the running game. They got a very underrated running game from what I've seen. Like their scheme up the middle, their zone run, it's very good. And if Green Bay can't, if they can't stop the run and give Aaron Rodgers the ball, it might be a lot closer than what people's imagining.
Yeah, and if Green Bay's going to win this game, they're going to have to earn it. I mean, I could say, you know what? There's going to be 2 scores I think it could be. I think if Green Bay's going to win 24-20, that's how close it's going to be.
Wait, where's the game at?
Let me check real quick. Let's see. The game this week.
Detroit.
Ooh, that's interesting. Because
I'm checking that right now, guys.
Because that's interesting. That's a conference rival game, possibly on the road in primetime against a team who everybody's putting away.
It's in Lambeau.
Okay.
Oh, that's
but
a little
still-
better. But
Here's a stat real quick. Aaron Rodgers, 8-0 career record at home on Monday Night Football.
Oh,
yeah, that's a little.
Okay, that's an interesting stat right there. I mean, but at the same time, I don't trust Green Bay. I know it's week number 2, and I know it's crazy that I'm even saying this because Aaron Rodgers did not have a full training camp with Green Bay. He came in at the last minute during the last couple of months. He came in the week of July. When I went to the AEW show in Charlotte, it came back that week, July 28th or whatever date it was in July that week. And I mean, and bring him back Randall Cobb. Oh, Randall Cobb, that's my buddy. Well, he didn't look too good in the first game against New Orleans. And, the one thing nobody's talking about this fella is this is a divisional rival game. And rival games usually get the other team hyped up, this time being Detroit. I know Detroit may end up losing this game, but they're not going to go down without a fight. I think Green Bay is going to win, but I think it's going to be 24-20. I don't think it's going to be an easy game like everybody thinks it's going to be.
I don't think so either.
No.
I think it's going to be a game that's going to be a little bit closer, mainly because I don't think this Packers team is this Packers team of old. I don't think this is Aaron Rodgers and his crew of miscreants who just wreak havoc all over the NFC. This isn't that team anymore. This team is basically in a rebuilding process with a guy who's basically has one foot out the door already, in my opinion. He showed his frustration last week.
Yep.
During that loss. I mean, you get frustrated, but Aaron, we know the whole story with him and the Packers organization over the Matt LaFleur thing and not going to him for input on the hiring of Jordan Love and all that too. We know that whole story and we don't need to rehash that because that's history. It's been beaten to death. But to me, this is something that is very, very, very prevalent and very in front of us. And that is that if this is the last season of Aaron Rodgers in football, not just in Green Bay, I don't think it's going to be a very, very productive season for him because I think he's going to get frustrated and he's going to quit. And that's not me being a Chicago fan, being biased. That's just me coming from a football fan, a sports fan who's watched that game and noticed that Aaron Rodgers I think he was throwing a lot of balls into the dirt, throwing a lot of balls away. He just seemed to give up.
Yep. And that's going to be the problem.
And you know what?
And if you take a look at the stats if you take a look at the stats real quick, Kevin, for the Packers, dude, from last game, 15-28, 133, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns.
Not good.
They said Aaron Rodgers would have had a better passing rate throwing the ball in the ground 90 times.
Yeah. Randall Cobb had 1 carry for 1 yard.
That's abysmal. I think the Packers' problem stemmed to Aaron Rodgers. He burnt that bridge with the organization. It's burning down. Yep. It's not a talent problem. You got Devonta Adams, Aaron Jones, a good O-line, supposed a good defense. They just choke every playoff time, but a good defense nonetheless. You got all that, but can't win. Similar to how I feel about Dallas, the same way. It's an organizational / coaching problem, and it's the same way. Your organization is not on the same page. Rodgers don't like the coach. The coach don't like it.
Kevin, he hasn't liked any of his head coaches. Let's be honest. He has not liked
Aaron Rodgers.
He has not liked any of his coaches. Mike McCarthy, he ran him out of Green Bay.
And you know what? Here's my hot take, and I'm not saying this because I'm not the biggest Peyton Manning fan, but if you cannot sit here and say that Peyton Manning is a choke artist in the playoffs and be a supporter of Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers, what has he done since the Super Bowl? He's been to how many NFC title games and
4.
Not one since.
You know
got
what?
Blown out by San Francisco, got tore up by Atlanta. I mean, come on.
In the game he should have won, their backup tight end couldn't catch a football to save his freaking life and when it mattered the most. I mean, are you serious? Onside kick, and he flat out blew the catch. And Rodgers had every right to be pissed off because that was the one game that he should have won. He could have went to another Super Bowl that year. And you know what? I think Green Bay could have beat New England that year, but that's not the way the cards were dealt that year because flat out Green Bay blew the big spot once again. And that's the problem. You know what? Aaron Rodgers' best season. Now, I'm not saying his MVP years were not great, because they were. But the reason why Rodgers, I thought, was great in 2010 when they won the Super Bowl against the Steelers is because Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay played their best when nobody was picking them, because they had a chip on their shoulder. And when they became the heavyweight favorites in the NFC to win not just their division, but the conference, they faltered when it mattered the most. Rodgers, the interceptions, the turnovers, the offensive line blowing the games for Rodgers, the special teams blowing their assignments in the NFC title game against Seattle, the defense blowing their coverages. And not only that, but Kevin, you remember this game. Ezra, you remember this game. I sure as hell remember this game, the NFC title game against San Francisco. That was a total domination, a symphony of destruction by San Francisco against Green Bay. They ran the ball down Green Bay's throats in that game. It was bad.
They told them about it. They pretty much said, we're not going to pass the ball. I'm going to say that. We're just going to run this way, that way, up the B gap, C gap, outside. Receivers going to run the ball. We're just going to run it.
Exactly.
That's all they've done.
You know what? I mean, like you said, Kevin, I mean, if we're going to praise Peyton Manning, obviously he had his tough times in the playoffs, giving games away and choking games. But to me, Aaron Rodgers is a more of a choke artist than Peyton Manning has ever been.
But you got some Aaron Rodgers fans that will sit up there and literally criticize Peyton Manning for being a playoff choke artist while their guy, their boy, hasn't won a single thing since his first Super Bowl. Like, they will be the first people to tell you that. But here's the difference with Rodgers and someone like Tom Brady. Oh, your coach doesn't want to go for it on fourth down in the NFC championship. Well, the NFC divisional round. No, we don't want to go for it on fourth down. Okay.
No, it was a championship game against Tampa Bay.
It was a championship. Okay. Well, he said he don't want to go for it on fourth down. Oh, man. Okay. And be mad about it. Wow. Just this game with Tampa Bay and Dallas, Tom Brady flat out said, I didn't like Bruce Arians' play call. I changed it, and we scored. There's
exactly.
Like, be a leader. Say, look, man, no, we're going for it. Y'all Kevin, get your asses on the field. We're going to call this so-and-so play, and we're going to get you open. We're going to get a first down. We're going to keep going. No,
I mean, gentlemen, another one that comes to my mind, gentlemen. I mean, the Super Bowl from 2 years ago. Ezra, you watched the game. I did. Kevin, you did as well. Patrick Mahomes, it's 2nd and 15. They thought they had a first down again at 16. Obviously, the play was overturned, but that gave Mahomes enough time to craft the next play, and that was the infamous wasp play. And that's how the game changed, because Patrick Mahomes made a call, a change on the game, and he flipped the game on its ass, and he changed the course of the game, and Kansas City ended up winning that Super Bowl 31-20. This is my problem with Aaron Rodgers going forward this year. I know we keep going back to the past, but we're making our points here. Aaron Rodgers' time in Green Bay, it is over after this year. There is no way on God's green earth, no chance in hell that he is coming back to Green Bay next year. This is his final run in Green Bay, and it's not going to look good. And you know what, gentlemen? I'll say this right here, right now. You can mark it down, September 16th, 2021. I know his legacy was secured, but you know what? I think his legacy is going to take a huge hit after this year, because the flat-out diva performance that Rodgers has put on this year in the offseason is going to affect not only him, but the entire coaching staff and the entire football team as a whole. Green Bay, you know what? If they win the division, it's not going to be a complete winning record like it was last year, because Rodgers was so hot last year for Green Bay. And I think if they're going to win this division this year, they're going to have to earn it. Seriously. I don't know, that sounds crazy as hell, but it's 2021 and the times are changing. Time evolves. Time changes every single day, every single year, every single minute, every single second. And Aaron Rodgers' time in Green Bay will end at the end of this season. And you know what? I don't think Green Bay, if they make the playoffs, they might be a wild card team when it's all said and done. because they're going to have a tough time Monday.
They don't get their act together. That's very possible.
If you do not beat Detroit on your home field Monday night in week number 2, we have some problems.
Yeah, because then they're going to San Francisco in California, where Aaron Rodgers really shows his struggles.
Oh, dear God.
It
Don't
doesn't
even get me
matter
started
who
on that.
he plays in California. Aaron Rodgers is horrible. Like 2 years ago, he went to San Francisco, got sacked 4 times, threw a pick, didn't even throw but for 100 yards even. The week before, he played the Chargers in L.A. Same result. Couldn't throw the ball, couldn't do nothing. I don't know what it is, defensive-wise, or maybe just being in California. He'd rather be at the beach. I don't know. But Green Bay, I honestly think the organization handled it wrong. They treat him like he's a god, and they're just trying to kiss his butt and give him what he wants. When if it was me, and I seen how frustrated this relationship was going, I'd trade him before he even rewrote his contract to having a no trade clause and yada yada yada. And before he had a sucky year like he's already having this year to start with, at least you got some trade value. They could have got a lot for him this past offseason. They could have got 3 or 4 draft picks, probably another starter. Kind of the bullcrap that the Texans are asking for Deshaun Watson. They want 2 superstar potential starters and 5 picks.
You know what? And talking about Deshaun Watson, there's no way. No team wants him. Oh, I want to go to Miami. Miami does not want him. Not at all.
I feel like the Texans are really they're holding that card. Like, they're holding it up under him. They're not like they could simply trade him. I feel like they're just making him miserable by not trading him right now at this point. Like, I know some teams had to be dumb enough to offer 5 first-round picks or something stupid along those lines. I know it. I know someone like the dumb New York Giants have offered that, or someone in that perspective, and the Texans are like, we're just going to fiddle with you. Let's see. Deshaun Watson, honestly, his best bet is to retire and stay gone from football for the next year and then come back, semi like a Marshawn Lynch situation. Then he'd be a free agent technically. I mean, just completely throw away your contract. But Deshaun Watson's getting paid that much money to not even be on the active roster on game day. Man, he's screwing the Texans over, and the Texans are screwing him over.
Oh, it's a match made in hell. Perfect.
Yep. Great.
Oh, dude, you know what? We mentioned the Jets earlier, and things are getting better for the Jets. Not really. But according to Adam Schefter, the Jets offensive tackle, Mekhi Becton, is now scheduled to undergo knee surgery next Wednesday and expected to miss 4 to 8 weeks.
Oh, dear God.
This news just broke, literally 45 seconds ago.
Yes, Chad, literally.
Yeah, literally. Literally, I'm dead.
Zach Wilson ain't got a chance.
That
he could not throw the ball on a Carolina Panther defense. How is he going to throw on Buffalo? Miami, oh dear God. Miami have an elite defense. They're getting better. They got Xavier Howard and Byron Jones. They got some lockdown corners. Their defense is good. If you can't throw on Carolina, how are you going to throw on Buffalo?
Holy shit.
Miami?
Holy shit, guys. Breaking news. The Giants are in the lead right now.
Oh, it ain't going to be no 3-0 game. It might be a 7-0 game.
Wow.
Danny Dimes.
Yep.
Hey,
6-yard rushing TD.
I think the Giants need to make the next album The Ghost of Daniel Jones, and that's gonna be their #1 hit, because every time that dude has a chance of a lifetime to score a touchdown, he gets tripped up by his own ghost. That's phenomenal.
Oh man.
I know I said, speaking of the NFC East, I know at first I said I wanted Washington to win, barring any injuries, and I don't trust Heineke to win that division. To be honest, I'm going to retract my statement, and I'm going with Philadelphia. I think this is Philadelphia's division this year.
Hot take.
Devonta Smith is so underrated. Just the way I watched him play, and I know it's Atlanta, but he's a very great route runner, a very underappreciated player. He could be the next poor man's Tyreek Hill. He's underappreciated, for what he does. I mean, you got a Heisman winner, and he got no love in the draft. Oh, you got the Heisman winner. What? And then Jalen Hurts, he's already started his career off good, knowing that Carson Wentz is gone. He's the solo dolo starter. It's only him. I feel like Philadelphia, if they get shaping up their defense somewhat, that this could be their division this year.
Absolutely. A couple other things in the NFL I want to get to real quick before we get on to some basketball news to close out the show. Was that right here is that the Ravens have signed Devonta Friedman to their active roster.
Just don't get injured, please. Just don't get injured.
I think they need to start wrapping these running backs in bubble wrap or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like
tape pillows to their legs and arms like
bound and gag. Bound and gag these running backs like Thunder Rosa did the Devil Greg on Busted Open yesterday. Ayo!
Thank you for stealing my thunder again, you asshole. Once again. By the way, you have been let go. By the way, best of luck in your future endeavors. No. You're the creator of the show. I can't do that. But one other quick little note before we get into, like I said, the basketball news, is that as many of you know, Bobby Mitchell, the Hall of Famer, he passed away recently. So his family is at the game tonight, and they retired his number 49 jersey, and they named the main concourse after him. So nice little fitting tribute to the late Bobby Mitchell. Let's go ahead and head into a little bit of basketball news, actually.
Oh, real quick, before we get to basketball to close out the show, my last two scores are going to be Buffalo beating Miami. I say 27-17, and I think the Patriots are going to beat the Jets 20-17.
Oh, I got the Patriots beating the Jets. I'm going to go 28-14. I think Zach Wilson will do a little something at the end of the game. And I got Buffalo beating Miami. Check this one now. 35-34.
Ooh.
I'm going to call it a shootout.
Nice. I'm gonna go 31-27 Buffalo over Miami. And then as far as the what was the other game that you said?
Patriots and Jets.
Patriots and Jets. I'm going to go 27-10. Patriots over the Jets. So those are the scores, and great coverage of the next week. This upcoming week should be great, guys.
Yes, it should.
I hope you're all ready for some football.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I did that high scream, I wouldn't be able to finish the show. Then again, you might have to hit me below the belt just to get me to do that, but then I'd probably sound if I did that, I'd probably sound more like Yoko Ono than John Madden. But but we're not gonna go there. Let's get to the NBA news. And that is that a report got put out recently that John Wall and the Rockets are working together to be traded. Right now, Houston right now said, this is right here, the John Wall era in Houston will be a short-lived one. He and the team are working together to find a new home for him. Houston will not be looking to buy Wall out of his contract, which is set to pay him $91.7 million over the next 2 seasons. That deal includes a player option of $47.4 million in the 2022-2023 season. So he's expected to be in training camp, but he's also expected not to play at all this season.
I'm glad they ain't gonna buy out his contract though, because I can already go ahead and predict where that's gonna end up, either Brooklyn or the Lakers, like every other washed up superstar has done ended up being. I mean, it's Brooklyn or LA. where they're going to.
Yeah, pretty much. Steven had a rant about a month ago about actually a couple months ago about the super teams, especially at the end in the end of the playoffs, especially when we had Sam in Cleveland on as one of our guests. That was something that he had talked about. But yeah, that's where it seems like every great player, a John Wall, a James Harden, a Kevin Durant, whoever, they go to these teams that are just built around to be super teams, like the Lakers, like the Nets, like those types of teams.
That's why I was so happy and pleased with the finals of this past season, because it wasn't super teams. I mean, it was the basketball gods that said, no, Durant, your help's going to get hurt. You're going to be by yourself. Milwaukee's better. And then it was the basketball gods who said, no, LeBron, AD, you're done. We're going Phoenix is going to roll. And then we've had in finals of a long time, a very great, evenly matched finals. And it was really good to watch and to see.
And that was the best finals in such a long time. I mean, both of these teams.
It wasn't an all-star game.
Yeah, exactly. So competitive. I mean, Devin Booker, Chris Paul in the finals, Antetokounmpo, Middleton, Milwaukee in the finals. Both teams are evenly matched. And those games, especially game 4 and game 5, could have gone either way. That's how crazy those games were. Because if what's his name, Holiday did not steal that ball, who knows? Because Phoenix was down by 1 at that point. Phoenix could have won that game. I mean, that series was so good. Both teams busted their asses. It was that good of a series, and I hope next year it's going to be like that. But unfortunately, these super teams still exist, and I blame LeBron for this, because when he brought that Miami super team in 2010 to 2014, Miami was in the finals those 4 years, 1-2, lost both the Texas teams. How coincidental is that, against Dallas and San Antonio? And honest to God, they should have won just one championship, in 2012 against the Thunder. I mean, but these super teams, it's got to stop. And I'll be honest with you, Kevin, I know you're a Golden State fan. I know you are. But in my honest opinion, when Kevin Durant went to Golden State in 2016,
it was there.
it was not fun anymore to watch basketball, because you knew Golden State was going to run roughshod over the Western Conference. And I hate to say it, but when Durant left, the fun in basketball came back. Yeah, LeBron went to Los Angeles. Yeah, whatever. But the fact that Phoenix destroyed LA in the playoffs last year, I mean, the NBA.
That was fun to watch.
It was fun to watch, because Devin Booker went off like a madman and scored 47 points to knock LA out of the playoffs. And I honestly think, I hate to say this, and I don't want it to happen, but I think it's going to be Brooklyn and Los Angeles Lakers in the finals next year. Why? Because that's what the NBA wants. They want money. That's what they want, is money. They want these super teams to be in the finals because they need the big markets to be in the finals. Why can't we have a finals like that this past season with the Bucks and the Suns next year? Because that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
Well, I don't know if y'all read it, but I've seen on the news, on NBA news, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, that it just came out that Klay Thompson is set to make his long-awaited return, possibly and supposed to be on Christmas Day.
Ooh.
And as a Warrior fan, I am ready for that.
Stephen Curry needs Klay. He needs Klay Thompson back.
Absolutely.
I can't shoot. Klay is that team shooting without Steph. Draymond is horrible at shooting. And to be able to see Klay come back, and I don't think, I know Ezra spoke on it, people would be scared to do stuff after an injury like that. But you got to understand about Klay, he is not athletic. He's not going to try to plant and cut and juke you with his moves. He's going to shoot. He's going to play defense, which his defense might take a little bit of a hit with that injury, but he's going to shoot. And I don't think his shooting going to be affected by that at all. He's still going to be one of the, if not the best shooting guard sharpshooter in the league.
And that's the thing is about Klay. Klay does not play with finesse, unlike Steph. Steph's more of a finesse guy because of him being, that almost like shooting guard, power forward type of deal where he likes to dance around. He loves to go inside the lanes and shoot and make his opponents, break their ankles over a crossover. Where Klay is just going to go out there, get himself open and shoot. And that's the difference between a Steph and a Klay.
Yeah, use his size.
And they complement each other. Where Klay uses his size and his ability to make the lanes open up for Steph, but also when the lanes open up for him, where Steph can throw it back out and give Klay that opening to shoot. They complement each other, and that's why that team has been so successful, is because of those two in their chemistry.
And that's one of the reasons why the media expects them to be up there with Phoenix and LA for a top of the West. Just because of Klay coming back.
Absolutely. One of the other things I want to get to, because I got two more things to get to, and then we'll close out the show. One of the things I want to get to is there's been a couple firsts, in the world of sports. This year we had the first ever female coach or female referee in NFL history. Recently at a game, and now the Bucks will have big history in having the first ever female full-time play-by-play TV announcer.
Oh wow!
Lisa Byington. She will be as part of the Milwaukee Bucks play-by-play voice on her television broadcasts. She'll be the first. She'll be the first woman to work as a full-time television play-by-play announcer for any major men's sports team. She'll join Jim Paschke, who retired after 35 seasons, or she'll replace him after 35 seasons as the team's main television play-by-play announcer. So that's big for not only women being in men's sports in a sense, but also big for basketball in general.
Right.
Speaking of basketball in general, I wanted to throw another quick shout out to the Chicago Sky, who recently. I may have mentioned this on last week's show, but I'll mention it again. They actually clinched a playoff spot in the WNBA championships. So congratulations to the Chicago Sky. The last thing I want to get to is the Denver Nuggets and Aaron Gordon have agreed to a 4-year contract extension worth $92 million.
Whoa.
That'll keep Aaron Gordon under contract through the 2025-2026 season with a player option in the final year.
I like it.
That's a great move for Denver. Great move.
That's your core right there. You got Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr. off the bench. They run compete up there too in the West.
Absolutely, I agree. Aaron Gordon is one of the players I think he had a great couple of seasons recently, and it kind of dwindled down a little bit because I remember hearing that's all I heard was Aaron Gordon. That's all you heard about because not only is he a great player, but also he's a great forward, but the man can dunk too. The man is a dunking machine. He reminds me of almost like a Blake Griffin, in a sense. He's also not that bad of a shooter. Last year, he averaged 10.2 points and 4.6 rebounds, which is not that bad.
And when he gets hot, he gets hot. He can shoot the gym out.
He had a career-high 50% shooting from the field last season, too. So that is absolutely nothing to sneeze at. One quick thing about Denver is, Denver, unfortunately, last year, they were riddled with injuries. That if they would have been healthy, they could have had a better chance of making it further. Maybe I wouldn't say making it further because Phoenix was on another level. Phoenix was just an absolute dynamite box of a team. And
yes,
I mean, I think they could have had an easier route in eliminating Portland because they eliminated them 6 games, but that's only because of the injuries. Right. I feel like if they were a complete team, they could have ended them in 4 or 5.
Yep.
But the Aaron Gordon thing is a great thing to keep Aaron Gordon around because he's a veteran who brings that leadership, who's a great shooter, great inside guy when needed, especially when he gets into the paint to dunk. He's the guy who puts you on a poster quicker than Joakim Noah did with Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, did you not get the memo? As Stacey King would always say. But that is the end of this show. That wraps it up for our Nation Sports Show for this week. Now, quickly, of course, next week we'll be covering Week 3. We'll be covering Week 3 and the Week 2 scores and whatever other news that comes our way in the world of sports. Also, we got Nation's Corner will also still take place this weekend. Don't know the status of who will be hosting this show.
But man,
as most of the crew will be at the 2300 Arena this weekend.
Yes.
For the Icons Wrestling event and the Battleground Championship Wrestling event, where Dave LaGreca and Bully Ray will be in attendance.
And our very own Deb is going to be there, and Tony, and Trenda, Christina.
Absolutely.
It's going to be such a great time. Mike and Jackie, John. It's going to be such a great time. I'm so happy for all of them being able to go to that show. I mean, getting to meet Dave and getting to meet Bully, and getting to see the whole fucking show. Rob Van Dam and Sabu tag teaming for the first time in 20 plus years. That is going to be something special, for all of our friends to be there and to witness history unfold at the ECW arena. I mean, that the whole event that weekend is going to be so awesome. So awesome.
Yeah.
And you can follow the Nation's Corner on Twitter at Nation's Corner. Sorry, Twitter. You can follow us on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/The Nation's Corner, and the Facebook page, facebook.com/The Nation's Corner. And once again, you can follow our Twitter pages at ON_sports show, facebook.com/Nation Sports Show. And folks, we're getting close a little bit here by here, a little bit to 100 subscribers. Right now we're at 76. We need to get to 100 to get that custom URL for the sports show on YouTube. Like us and follow us on our social media platforms.
Absolutely. Before I officially close it out, let's get into some final thoughts. Kevin, what your final thoughts on the show and sports in general for the week?
Just so glad that football is back and it's here to stay till February, as well as anybody out there. Get your popcorn ready, sit back, grab your soda, and get ready to watch the Dallas Cowboys implode at any given week.
Sorry,
I couldn't have said it any better, Kevin.
Tony might just run his truck off the road. We got to be careful with that.
Yep.
Definitely. Steven, final thoughts?
Oh my God, what a great show with you gentlemen. I mean, after, like I said at the top of the hour of the show, going to 2 kick-ass concerts in Raleigh with Dirty Honey, the Black Crows, Sabaton, and Judas Priest, man. Oh my God. And this weekend with the NFL, week number 2, it's going to be one hell of a weekend for football. And we have you covered next week from pillar to pillar and all the scores around for week number 2 and previewing week number 3. And after this, we're going to watch a little bit of Dark Side of the Ring, as tonight it is the return of the second half of season 3. And tonight's episode is the infamous Plane Ride from Hell. And that's going to be one, pardon the pun, hell of an episode to start out the second half of season 3. Ezra, close us out, my friend.
Absolutely. Quickly, my final thoughts. It was a great show with you gentlemen. We covered a lot of ground, got really deep into the scores from last week, and of course previewing week 2. This weekend should be great. Another great week of football, some great matchups. Definitely everybody check out as many games as you can. Watch the scores, watch the sports all this weekend. And of course, like I said, good luck to our crew this weekend at Battleground Championship Wrestling and Icons of Wrestling. Hope you all have a great time. Nation's Corner again this week, youtube.com/Nation's Corner, 7-6 Central, only on YouTube. Okay, and that now for Kevin Rorie, for Stevie Wyand, for everybody in the nation, this is Ezra Vickery, and I will see you all. Actually, we will see you all next week for another rendition of our nation's sports show. Goodbye, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Turn me up.